Well, good evening. Good to have your company.
DaveMonk. This is BBC Essex.
I hope your day has gone, as well as you can expect your day to go. Do you know, sometimes I feel as though I'm living Groundhog Day. You know what I mean? We seem to have heard this before. The lower Thames Crossing is re-entering the consultation stage. Plans have been altered, and that includes extending the southern tunnel entrance in Gravesend. And loads of other things as well, in a hope to reduce potential impact on protected bird habitats. Well, David Manning is the Development Director for Lower Thames Crossing on behalf of Highways England.
So on the Essex side of the crossing, the feedback at consultation was largely around local connectivity and maintaining community access, responding to not only the drivers but the non-motorised users such as walkers and cyclists, and the overall environmental impact of the scheme. We believe we're coming back with a scheme that really addresses many of these points, and we want to come back out and test that with the local communities.
So what do the local communities think? Well, let's talk to Laura Blake, who is chair of the Thames Crossing Action Group. Laura, good evening. Welcome to the programme. What do you make of these changes?
Hi Dave, thanks for having me on the show again. Well, as you might expect, we're not overly impressed with the changes that have been made or the overall project, to be honest, but that's probably come as no surprise to yourself or anyone else that's listening. Originally, we went online last night at a minute past midnight when the consultation opened, and within an hour or so, Highways England website was having problems and we were coming across errors on the website. So our overall first impressions, not great.
Well, are we really in the situation, Laura, and be honest, that whatever they say, you're not going to agree with it?
Well, no, if they want to actually bring some alternative routes back to the table, as we've been requesting for years now, and actually look at some proper solutions that we all deserve that will actually fix the problems at the Dartford crossing, then obviously that is something that we would be more than happy about.
Well, like putting it somewhere else?
Well, yeah, just coming up with something that will actually fix the problems. We're still in a position where the Dartford crossing is going to remain over capacity if they carry on as they are. Everyone keeps saying, let's just get on with it, let's get it done as quickly as possible. If we get it done as quickly as possible, but we end up with something that at the end of the day is not going to solve those problems, we're wasting time by doing it as quickly as possible, if that makes sense. What we need to be doing is addressing the proper issues now and getting it so that it actually is a solution to these problems. I mean, it's no wonder when we haven't even got a replacement project director for the Lower Thames Crossing since Tim Jones resigned last July. So if they haven't actually got anyone leading at the helm of this project, then what hope have we really got? The interim and deputy interim project directors seem to be very noticeable by their lack of appearance or any kind of comment, or it's actually Chris Taylor from Highways England, the Director of Complex Infrastructure Programmes, that is actually making the forward and making comments about this, as well as David Manning. It's not actually a Lower Thames Crossing project director. Now, surely on a project this size, that's an important role that they should be filling. It does lead you to question why Tim Jones went and why he hasn't been replaced properly yet.
Oh, yeah, who knows? But Laura, for anybody who hasn't read this, can you just go through what these changes would mean for our side of the tunnel, the proposed tunnel, the ones that they've put out for consultation now? Could you take us gently through it so I understand it?
Yeah, so some of the ones that are most obvious when we've been looking through the information is that now the Lower Thames Crossing between the M25 and the A13 coming southbound will only be 2 lanes. So they're not really taking into account how the traffic's going to migrate between the two crossings. If the Dartford crossing's closed and everything needs to come off the M25 and go southbound on the Lower Thames crossing, do we really want all of those lanes of the M25 being squashed into 2 lanes? It doesn't really add up. And there's also the concerns of sort of smart motorways are very in the news at the moment. Then how are we doing this, and how can that be a safe thing to be doing, where we're trying to squash all this traffic that's going to be impatiently trying to avoid the crossing if it is closed to move to the other crossing, and they're squeezed into a bottleneck of 2 lanes.
Right, so that surprises me. So you would actually prefer them to be 3 lanes rather than the 2 lanes?
Well, I think it's just something that we need to address on this. I mean, it was 2 lanes. Then last consultation, they told us, that their data is now up to date and it means that we've got to have 3 lanes. Now we're back down to 2 lanes. It does make me wonder if they're just trying to cut the costs. so that they can get this development consent order through as quickly as possible and to make the cost-benefit ratio as appealing as possible. Because things like the service station and the Tilbury Junction, which have also been removed in this consultation, there are still discussions going on. Highways England are actually talking to various companies and organisations about having a Tilbury Link Road and a service station moving forward as separate projects aside from the Lower Thames Crossing. So what that ultimately does is just removes it from the Lower Thames Crossing budget. Looks like it possibly is still going to happen, but it doesn't have to be included in the overall cost of the project.
Somebody else's budget.
Exactly. So, right. I mean, how does that work as something that's ethical, and how can we trust them on it? We've got residents that are literally were in the development boundary, then at another consultation they were taken out of it, and now they're put back in it. They just don't seem to know whether they're coming or going, to be quite honest.
And what other things? Are they moving an alignment of certain roads 60 metres to avoid pylons and overhead cables? Is that right?
Again, it is actually quite expensive to start moving these pylons and things, so another cost-cutting exercise as far as we're concerned. They don't seem to worry about the impacts of moving those routes and things slightly over and the impacts it has on people and homes and residents and the environment. It's more about let's save some more money so that we can make it look as desirable as possible when we go to the Transport Secretary for Secretary of Transport.
Yeah, what's it? Just paint a picture. What's it like living there at the moment? You know, with this hanging over you.
Well, at the moment, obviously, there are a lot of residents that are concerned it is impacting them greatly. Just recently, we've had the ground investigations, archaeological surveys starting. We've actually had incidents where Highways England weren't even aware that their contractors were going onto these sites to start the work earlier than they'd first planned. We approached them about some security lighting on a site and asked them if it belonged to one of their sites. They came back and denied that it was actually anything to do with the Lower Thames Crossing. We followed up with the local authority because these security lights were actually blindingly glaring onto roads that users were having this distraction of extremely bright lights in their eyes. So we went up to the local authority, asked them if they could throw any light on it, pardon the pun, and they came back and actually we found out that we had an email from Highways England confirming, no, it was them, but they'd actually had their contractors gone in early but not actually cleared it with them, presumably. So there was that issue, and obviously with these lights as well on the roads, that is a severe hazard for people that are driving along to have these security lights in. So ongoing, we're having lots of different issues, and it doesn't really give you much confidence in Highways England and what they're doing if this is just the preparation stages and they haven't even started any kind of construction yet.